Hello and welcome to Sweet Home California. My name is Jennifer and I want to introduce to you today a new product that I'm going to be putting on my Etsy store, militarypatriot.net. You may already be familiar. This is my vacuum chamber that works for anything from half pint, pint, quart, as well as anything that is less than 4 inches in diameter and no taller than whatever size jar you do. I have 8 inch and I have 10.5 inch. And the 10.5 inch can hold 2 pints or a quart and half a pint. The 8 inch can do a quart and a stubby half pint, or it can do 2 half pints. But people were asking, well, what about the half gallon? This is a half gallon jar, and this will not fit into this. So the only other alternative was, well, all right, I'm already using PVC. I got 4 inch tubing here. Maybe I can get the 6 inch. So I found this over at Lowe's. It actually was hard to find because it's not something that they keep in stock very often. But they didn't even have any ends. I had to buy the ends online. So this was $24 for that 2-foot piece. And then these ends that go on top of it so I can form the vacuum is another $8. I have 2 of them. I was looking at, putting all this together and I'm like, wow, this is just going to be so incredibly expensive and it's going to take up a lot of room. And I'm blessed with a large kitchen here, but the place we lived at before was the exact opposite, and it was very teeny tiny, and there's no way I would have been able to store any of these kitchen gadgets. So I thought, well, how about if I just make something that can seal on it? So this is a 4 inch piece of PVC tubing. You can use the same lid that comes with this. So if you've already bought one of these, then you don't need to get the lid option. You can just choose to get just the collar, and then you just put the lid on your own. I also will have it as an option where you can order the lid. For these, obviously, since you don't have to worry about taking it on and off like you do with this, you don't need to have the one with the handle. The handle is helpful for these because of the fact that, of course, you've got to open it up to get your food out. But this, once you break the vacuum seal, then you just take it off of whatever it is that you're suctioning, and so you don't need the added expense of the handle. So those are going to be the 2 options that are available on there. Also, in doing my little testing, I have started off with a smaller size. But then someone suggested to me that I had shipped this out to, well, if you make it a little bit taller, then it will work with soda bottles. So the narrower ones, you can see the lid comes up, or the top is off for that, so it's not going to be able to do seal. So now these are, I'm going to make these 3.5 inches, and so you'll be able to put this over top of that, and then you'll be able to vacuum the air out of that and then seal your bottle. Now, in terms of getting these to stay sealed, I'm still experimenting a little bit with that. Since I haven't drunk the soda yet, I'm using a water bottle because I have a ton of water bottles. So here is a water bottle I have that I filled up with a bunch of pinto beans. And even though this is squarish, you'll notice here, the way that I made these, I do a little bit of with a heat gun, and I make this kind of flare out a little bit. And so adding the rubber gasket on there, it's able to form that seal around this more squarish type of tube. And it also works on the half gallon, which you see, that kind of looks a bit squarish too. But right up near the top, it's still round enough that it will form a complete seal on that. All right, so anyhow, about the plastic containers though, if you are going to use it with that, what I did was I put a hole in the center there, and then I just put a piece of tape over it. I push it down on one side, leave the other side flap a little bit, and then I go ahead and vacuum seal. Now, the first couple tests that I did, I just used a piece of rubber gasket that didn't have stickiness all the way through. It was only sticky on the one side, and that released the pressure over about 24 hours. The next thing I did was I used a piece of packing tape that also released the air, and about 24 hours later, that also had lost its seal. Now I'm trying just regular old Scotch tape, And so far it's been about an hour, and you can tell that the seal is still on there because it just feels really hard when you suck out all the air. It kind of forms around the item, and also then you can hear it. And now see, now it's crunchy. All right, so I'll show you how that works. I'll just lift up a little bit on the tape edge. So again, it'll allow it to suck that air out. And you can hear what that's going to sound like as well. Now with my Food Saver, it'll automatically shut off. I do include a little rubber gasket that you can put on the end of your nozzle, just in case that hole is a little smaller than what your hose nozzle is. They vary in size a little bit. I'm doing this real time so you have an expectation of how long it really does take. Now this is of course filled to the brim with Pinto, and so you want, if you're doing plastic especially, you need to have that filled all the way up as much as you can to the top, because it's going to suck all that air and it's going to crush the plastic bottle if it's not completely full of product. And then another thing to talk about here real quick is getting all those pinto beans in there. It is a very narrow, and I'm just going to push that down so that the tape will hopefully keep the vacuum seal. And as I said, I'm kind of testing with different options to make sure that seal stays. But so far, it just seems like Scotch tape seems to be the easiest. My other option is going to do duct tape, and I'll try that next. So anyhow, you hear that? It's really, really hard to suck all the air out. But getting those pinto beans in there, this is a very narrow top. Your standard jar is not going to, or wide mouth, what do you call it? The funnel that you use for your canning jars. It's going to be too big for that. So what I did is I just took a, this is from a tea, bottle of tea, and it was still too narrow after I cut the top off. This was the top. So once I cut the top off, I made some little slits in it, so then I can kind of force it down in there. And then I put that on top of it, and I pour the beans in there, and then they were able to go in there all right. On the other hand, with the rice, this was really easy. Oh, I've already sealed it so you can hear it. And you can hear that, that vacuum seal there. Now, of course, there are other options to creating that seal, especially if you are using a standard mason jar, because you don't have to use these. If you have one of these doohickeys, and these are now becoming more available again. When I first started doing this almost a year ago now, these were crazy expensive to find even on the secondary market, because I guess they were just out of stock. And so if you bought them on the secondary market, you were talking about $50 to get this size and the regular size. And so that's really when I started making some alternatives, was during that time frame. But since then, these have still been selling very well, because you don't have to just do your standard mason jars in these. You can use anything, again, that'll fit in there. Your non-standard Prego jars, your mayonnaise, any type of glass jar, anything with a gasket will fit in there. If you do the plastic jars in here, it does still need to have a gasket. And what else? And again, if it's plastic, make sure it's completely full of stuff, or it will kind of crush in the process of vacuum sealing it. But if you have one of these, this will work. But you need to have this type of lid. You cannot use the full-on lids that are easy to take on and off, which is another benefit of this type of top, because it's not going to interfere. You can use it on these types of lids here, and I'll show you how that works. And like, for instance, cookies. Cookies last a heck of a lot longer if you vacuum out all that air in there. But I'll show you here with the rice. So again, all right, this has just been loosened. I put my lid on there, my 6-inch canister adapter there. And you'll feel that it kind of sucks down into it. And putting the lid on, there is a sweet spot, not too tight, not too loose. But you'll be able to tell when it's you have it with stuff, then the less time it'll take to take that out. All right, and you can, there is a bit of a concave on there, you can tell. And again, proof is, and you open it up, and then you hear the air go suck back in. So anyhow, I hope you'll consider adding this to your kitchen. And as I said, it complements the this as well. So if you already have one of these, or you want to buy this at the same time, then you don't need to order this one with a lid, and it'll save you a little bit of money. So check it out, militarypatriot.net. God bless. Bye.